Mercedes just heard the Ferrari confirmation that could turn Austria into a nightmare. Ferrari has not lost the same way Mercedes has. That is the threat. Mercedes has already lost 43 points to reliability. Russell lost a race from the lead after a catastrophic battery failure. Antonelli was running second when his car simply switched off. And now Mercedes is rushing new battery modules into the season, hoping the fix survives real Grand Prix pressure. But Ferrari's number is the one Wolff cannot ignore. Only 10 points lost to reliability. And Lewis Hamilton? 0 mechanical points lost. 0. That means Hamilton does not need Mercedes to be slow. He does not need Ferrari to dominate every lap. He only needs to finish when Mercedes fails. And before the Austrian Grand Prix, that changes the entire championship. Because if Ferrari keeps surviving while Mercedes keeps investigating, the fastest car may not win this fight. The most reliable one might. Subscribe to the channel. Mercedes should be arriving in Austria like a team protecting a championship lead. But now, the pressure feels different. Because the threat Ferrari has confirmed is not just pace. It is not just Hamilton's confidence. It is not just a strong weekend in Spain, or another red car suddenly appearing closer in the mirrors. It is reliability. And reliability is the kind of weapon that does not always look dramatic until the damage is already done. Mercedes still has the car that can win. They still have the performance to control races. They still have Kimi Antonelli leading the championship, and George Russell close enough to stay part of the story. But Formula One does not reward the car that is fastest before it breaks. It rewards the car that is still moving when the points are handed out. That is why Ferrari's confirmation hurts so much. Because while Mercedes has been losing massive points through failures, Ferrari has been doing the one thing every championship challenger must do: finishing. The numbers make the danger impossible to hide. Mercedes has already lost 43 points to reliability. Ferrari has lost only 10. That gap is not just a technical comparison. It is a championship warning. It means Mercedes' advantage should be bigger than it is. It means Antonelli should have more breathing space. It means Russell should have more points. It means Ferrari has been given a chance that may never have existed if Mercedes had simply finished the races it was already positioned to score. And that is the part Toto Wolff cannot ignore. This is not about Mercedes being too slow. It is about Mercedes being too vulnerable. George Russell's Canadian Grand Prix showed the worst version of that vulnerability. He was leading the race, not chasing, not recovering, not trying to save a difficult weekend. Leading. He had the result in his hands, and then a catastrophic battery failure ended everything. That kind of failure changes the atmosphere inside a team. Because when a driver loses a race through pace, he can fight back. He can study the rival. He can improve. He can understand the defeat. But when the car fails while he is leading, the question becomes much harder. Can I trust it next time? That question follows Russell into Austria. It follows every engineer looking at the power unit data. It follows every strategic decision where Mercedes has to choose between attack and protection. Then Barcelona made the fear bigger. Kimi Antonelli was running second late in the race when his Mercedes suffered a sudden electrical shutdown. The car simply switched off. The championship leader lost a result that should have protected his lead, and the failure looked too similar in symptom to Russell's Montreal disaster to be dismissed as harmless. One failure can be called unlucky. Two failures in major points positions become something else. They become a pattern. And patterns are dangerous because rivals can build belief around them. Ferrari now knows it does not need to beat Mercedes everywhere. It does not need to dominate every session. It does not need Hamilton to pull off miracles every weekend. Ferrari only needs to stay close enough to punish the next mistake. That is what reliability gives them. It gives Hamilton patience. It gives the pit wall confidence. It gives the whole team the belief that the title fight is still alive, even if Mercedes has the stronger raw position. And Hamilton's number is the one that changes the emotional shape of the battle. 0 mechanical points lost. 0. That means while Mercedes has been explaining failures, Hamilton has been collecting results. While Russell has been thinking about the victory that vanished in Canada, Hamilton has been finishing. While Antonelli has been watching his lead become less comfortable, Ferrari has been proving that its power unit can survive. That is a quiet kind of pressure. But it may be the most dangerous kind. Because Hamilton does not need chaos to look dangerous. He can win through consistency. He can turn clean weekends into pressure. He can stay close, wait for Mercedes to stumble, and take the points they leave behind. Wolff knows this better than anyone. For years, Hamilton was the driver Mercedes trusted to punish other teams when they failed. Now he is the Ferrari driver waiting to punish Mercedes. That is almost the cruelest part of the story. The same instinct that once made Hamilton Mercedes' greatest weapon could now become the thing that turns Mercedes' reliability problem into a championship crisis. And Austria is the perfect place for that pressure to become visible. The Red Bull ring is short, sharp, and unforgiving. The lap comes back quickly. Track position matters. Starts matter. Small mistakes are punished. If a driver is forced into traffic, the race can become messy quickly. And when a car is already carrying reliability questions, messy is exactly what the team does not want. Mercedes needs clean air, clean starts, clean temperatures, clean strategy, clean energy management. But Ferrari can make the weekend uncomfortable. Hamilton can stay close enough to force Mercedes to push harder. Ferrari can force strategy decisions. Leclerc can create pressure if he is near the front. And if Mercedes has to defend, manage temperatures, and protect the battery system all at once, the whole race becomes more complicated. That is how Ferrari's reliability advantage becomes more than a statistic. It becomes a strategic weapon. Because a reliable car gives a team freedom. It allows the driver to attack without the same fear. It allows the pit wall to make aggressive calls. It allows Ferrari to apply pressure, knowing that the car is more likely to finish than the rival's recent history suggests. Mercedes does not have that same comfort right now. They are bringing updated battery modules into the season, starting around Austria. That sounds like progress, and it is. But progress is not proof. A new part is not trusted because it exists. It is trusted because it survives race distance, heat, traffic, vibration, strategy pressure, and the emotional weight of a championship fight. Until then, Mercedes is still carrying the question. Has the problem actually been fixed, or has it only been understood? That is a huge difference. Understanding where the weakness lives is important. James Allison has already pointed toward the same broad area of the battery. The failures may not be identical, but they seem to originate around the same part of the system. That tells Mercedes where to focus, but it does not automatically guarantee the danger is gone. And under the current power unit rules, that battery is under brutal stress. The electrical side is doing far more work than before. More power, more deployment, more heat, more load. Every race asks the system to deliver again and again, and if there is one hidden weakness, it may only appear when the car is at the limit. That is why Austria matters so much. It is not just a race. It is a public test of whether Mercedes can trust its own fix. If both cars finish cleanly, the mood changes. Wolff can point to progress. Russell can rebuild confidence. Antonelli can protect his lead. Ferrari's reliability edge still matters, but it becomes less threatening. But if another Mercedes stops, the story becomes explosive. Then Ferrari's confirmation becomes the headline. Then Hamilton's 0 mechanical points become the most frightening number in the championship. Then Mercedes' 43 lost reliability points stop looking like bad luck, and start looking like the weakness that may decide the season. That is the danger before Austria. Mercedes still has speed. But Ferrari has confirmed survival. And in Formula 1, survival is what turns pressure into points. But the part Mercedes truly cannot ignore is what Ferrari's reliability confirms about the championship itself. This is no longer just a fight between two fast cars. It is a fight between two completely different kinds of pressure. Mercedes has pressure because it is leading. Ferrari has pressure because it is chasing. But those two pressures do not feel the same. The leader has something to lose. Every decision carries the weight of protection. Every race becomes a calculation. Every pit call has to defend the lead, defend the points, defend the bigger picture. And when the car has already failed in major positions, that protection becomes even heavier. The chaser has something different. Freedom. Ferrari can attack because the pressure is already on Mercedes to prove the problem is gone. Hamilton can take a race one step at a time because his car has not cost him mechanical points. Ferrari can look at Mercedes' 43 lost reliability points and understand the most important thing in this fight. Mercedes is not invincible. That belief changes everything. Because once a rival stops seeing you as untouchable, they race you differently. They do not panic when you qualify well. They do not give up when you lead early. They do not assume the race is over because a Mercedes is at the front. They wait. They press. They force you to keep proving the car can survive. And that is where Hamilton becomes so dangerous. Hamilton understands how to turn reliability into pressure better than almost anyone. He knows that championships are not always built by being the fastest on every lap. Sometimes they are built by being there, every Sunday, every stint, every restart, every time the rival leaves points on the table. That is what Mercedes used to do to everyone else. Now Ferrari may be doing it to Mercedes. And that is the part Wolff will hate most. Because Mercedes spent years creating a culture where reliability and execution became weapons. Other teams made mistakes, Mercedes collected. Other teams broke down, Mercedes scored. Other teams felt pressure, Mercedes stayed calm. But before Austria, the roles are starting to look reversed. Ferrari is the team with the cleaner reliability story. Hamilton is the driver with 0 mechanical points lost. Mercedes is the team trying to prove new battery modules will work under pressure. That is not a comfortable position for a championship leader. And it becomes even more dangerous because Mercedes' issue is not fully invisible anymore. The source of concern has been narrowed toward the same broad area of the battery system. The failures are not identical, but they point toward a similar part of the power unit. That detail matters because it gives the whole paddock a target. Not a literal target they can touch. A strategic target. If Mercedes wants clean running, rivals try to deny it. If Mercedes wants stable temperatures, rivals try to pull them into traffic. If Mercedes wants calm strategy, rivals try to create split decisions. If Mercedes wants Russell and Antonelli separated and comfortable, rivals try to place pressure between them. That is how a reliability weakness becomes part of the race before anything actually fails. Ferrari does not need to cause the failure. Ferrari only needs to create the conditions where Mercedes has to push closer to the edge. A harder defense. A longer stint. A hotter car. A more aggressive deployment phase. A driver asking for everything because Hamilton is close behind. That is the trap. Mercedes can tell itself the fix is coming. It can fit new modules. It can run checks. It can trust the factory data. But once the race begins, the car does not live in a perfect engineering environment anymore. It lives in traffic. It lives in heat. It lives in dirty air. It lives under attack. It lives inside the panic of losing track position. And Austria is exactly the kind of place where those pressures arrive quickly. The Red Bull ring is short enough that a small gap can feel like constant pressure. A driver who is 3/10 away is never really gone. A car behind can keep showing itself. A mistake in one corner can become a threat into the next braking zone. A poor exit can make a driver defend earlier than planned. And when a driver defends earlier than planned, the race starts changing. The tires get worked harder. The battery gets used differently. Temperatures become harder to control. The pit wall starts thinking about compromises. And suddenly, Mercedes is no longer executing its ideal race. It is reacting. That is exactly what Ferrari wants. Because a reacting Mercedes is more vulnerable than a controlling Mercedes. A controlling Mercedes can manage pace, manage temperatures, manage energy, and protect the car. A reacting Mercedes has to answer questions in real time. Do we cover Hamilton? Do we protect Antonelli? Do we give Russell freedom? Do we push the power unit? Do we save the car? Do we defend now, or risk losing position? Every one of those questions carries danger. And the reason Ferrari's confirmation is so powerful is that Ferrari does not have to ask the same questions with the same fear. That is the advantage of reliability. It gives the team mental space. It gives the driver confidence. It allows the strategists to think about attack instead of survival. It lets Hamilton focus on making Mercedes uncomfortable, rather than wondering whether his own car will reach the end. That difference can decide a race before the final stint even begins. Because racing is not only mechanical. It is emotional. It is psychological. It is a battle of who feels safer taking the risk. A driver who trusts the car can attack naturally. A driver carrying doubt has to fight the rival and the memory of the last failure. Russell knows that better than anyone in this story. If he leads again, he will want to believe Canada is finished. But the mind does not erase a failure that easily. He knows what it felt like to have a race taken away from the front. He knows the car can be fast enough to win and still fail before the reward arrives. That memory makes Austria heavier. Antonelli has his own version of that pressure. Barcelona showed him the problem can reach his side of the garage too. He is leading the championship, but now he knows his lead is not protected by speed alone. The car must survive. The team must execute. The power unit must finish the job. And Hamilton, on the other side, knows exactly how to use that. He does not need to shout. He does not need to make reckless moves. He only needs to make Mercedes feel watched. Lap after lap. Sector after sector. Pit window after pit window. That is one of the most exhausting forms of pressure in Formula One. The pressure of a rival who refuses to disappear. Because when Hamilton stays close, the race becomes a mirror. Mercedes has to keep checking where he is, what tires he has, what pace he is showing, whether Ferrari is preparing an undercut, whether the gap is safe, whether the car can be pushed harder. And every time Mercedes checks Hamilton, it also checks itself. Is the battery safe? Are the temperatures stable? Can we push now? Can we defend later? Can we afford this? That is how Ferrari's reliability advantage starts working like a silent weapon. It does not need to appear as a headline every lap. It sits underneath the whole race. Mercedes knows Ferrari is likely to be there at the end. That knowledge changes the way the leader breathes. And the timing could not be worse for Mercedes. The updated battery modules are being phased in, not presented as a magical reset. That means the Austrian Grand Prix becomes a validation weekend. The first real question is not, can Mercedes be fast? Everyone already knows the answer.